Good morning, Deb Hunt with Salon Business Solutions. I want to have a conversation today about salon budgeting. I also want to keep it kind of a few steps at a time. I know that for most of us, the financial part can be a little overwhelming. I know for me as a salon owner, when I first started, the fear of the numbers, like what I knew how to do was bring in money. The whole understanding money, where does it go, why does it go, that always scared me a little bit. So learning how to take charge of it, because the numbers will always tell you the truth. Everything else has a story behind it that doesn't necessarily empower you or give you the ability to change anything. So it's really starting to slowly understand, what are the budgets? What do I need to follow? How do I get those budgets? So I kind of wanted to start with a couple things. One, there's sales, right? You have your service sales, your retail sales. A lot of us are tracking hair extension sales differently than just throwing them in because they can skew things. And you may track different sales. I don't know that I would do that inside of budgeting, right? You can do that inside of being able to purchase their back bar correctly. But overall for your business, you want to track if you have rental income, if you have boutique, you want to track boutique separately than retail. If you're a salon or spa, you want to know the difference between the retail that's going out, providing backup for the services we do versus the things that your jewelry, your handbags, your tchotchkes, I call them, your candles and things like that. So you want to track those differently, because a lot of times you can get them at a price differently than the markup of products. So sales, gift certificates, boutique, rent, service, retail separately. So that's tracking your service sales. And then every one of those there's kind of two different places where you track after that. You'll track your direct expenses, and your direct expenses are as a direct result of the services that you provide. So if you have high retail sales, your repurchase will be high. If you have low retail purchases, they will be low. So there's a direct correlation. So all the things in your business that are direct, right? Hi, Robin. The things with service payroll is a direct expense. If you don't have anybody working, you don't have any service payroll, right? Retail commission, it is a direct correlation. So you're really thinking about the places in your business that are direct correlation: your retail sales, your service sales, your payroll taxes, your back bar supplies, retail supplies, gift certificates redeemed, credit card payments, and your credit card processing. Credit card processing goes up based on how much sales. So again, you're really looking at the things that are in direct correlation to what you provide. And then there is your indirect, which is everything there is that you have to pay whether anybody shows up for work or not, which is if you pay an accountant, your equipment fees, your rent, your electricity, your business insurance, health insurance, your front desk staff, all of the things, your license and permits, loans, those things that are stationary bills, right? And they may move financially a little bit, and maybe you pay taxes quarterly, but that's kind of the easiest way to separate. Okay, so 3 things. You track your sales, and I can't tell you how many people, when I get their finances, have sales and expenses in the sales. It's like they're not the same thing. You can't do your discounts in sales. Does that make sense? Right? That is an expense to the company. So you have sales, you have direct expenses, directly correlated to your sales, and then your indirect, which is all the bills that you're going to pay. So that's kind of sizing it up in one picture. What do you need to track? And then we move over and say, what budgets do I have? So in service sales, and there's certain things, so when you look at your P&L, and I think one of the reasons that P&Ls are hard for us is because they take that number and budget it against 100% of your sales, which is not true in our world. So one of the ways that my coaching clients learn to track is on a different tracking form called an income versus expense. So it's really, in our world, it's money in, money out. That's all it is. And we look at what's going in every month and what's coming out every month so that you can know your nut. And then there is in your service sales, what we're looking for is to stay in that 43% of your service commissions. So you may have people at 50%, but you also have your newbies at 40%. So really keeping a balance in between the weight of your service payroll. So your service payroll will really depend on what you start out as. Wherever you are, it doesn't make any difference. Just start tracking it, because you can't change anything until you see the truth, right? Then there is your retail commission. Can't be put in your service payroll because it skews service payroll, right? You're paying that differently. So retail commission comes out of retail. So it's a different. So service, and then you want to look at your service sales. What else comes out of there? Your back bar comes out of there. What percent of your business? And again, general conversation depends upon your business. If you have specifically a salon, you'd really like to keep that back bar expense being between 6 to 8%. Managing that, if you had $10,000, I'm going to do a calculator here because I'm not going to be able to do it, $10,000 worth of sales, and you want it to be at 6%, you're going to have $600 to spend. So you actually pay attention to how much money in my budget do I have to spend at the beauty supply to repurchase the color. So you're repurchasing what was used, and you're really trying to stay between 6 to 8%. A lot of times when people start in coaching, they'll start at 10, 12%, and really we just work that down and really start taking away waste and managing the numbers well, because in the beginning I'm so amazed at, I didn't know, and I'm not amazed that you don't know, because I didn't know, right? It's just something we don't know. So so that's back bar, 6 to 8%. Retail should be what? Anybody tell me? Retail should be 50%. If you have $500 in sales, $250 goes into your business. $250 goes directly back to who you purchased from. And I'm going to say this loudly. You cannot not afford to carry the products that your customers need, but you have to manage that budget. If you sell $500, $250 immediately goes back to purchase. $250 goes into the business for you to distribute and use the way that it needs to be used. But $250, 50% has to be taken out. That's a budget that you have to know, you have to manage. Retail is a very important part in our industry. I don't want my customers going to the grocery store, and I want them using something that represents our company. Sorry, that's a whole different conversation. Let me stop, because I can go off on stuff. Budget for retail is 50%. Whatever you sell, you divide it in half. That's how much you have to respend. Not $100 less and not $100 more. Many conversations around it for you to learn. This is basic 101, and I'm going to try to stay 101. So I'm going to stay in direct expenses today, right? So service payroll, we want to keep at, no more than 45% would be no higher than that, and really would like to keep it, around that 42%. Retail commissions kind of depends what you pay. I think you need to pay to play, and I think the more they do, the more they earn, but nobody should earn a commission based on your customers just bought it, not because of you. So there's a compensation, but that should never go above 10%. Most of the time, if you've got a play to pay, it should stay around, if you've got a great team of people that you've taught this to, it should stay at about 10, 11%. Otherwise, you should be at about 7 or 8%. Payroll taxes, they are what they are. Retail supplies, again, that's back bar. It is 6 to 8%. Sales tax depends on where you're from, and every city has a different sales tax. In South Dakota, we were taxed on service and retail. One of the only states that I think that actually occurs in. There might be a couple more, but most people are charged on the retail that they sell. So one of the things is people get financially, when that comes up, whether it's monthly or quarterly, people struggle because I can't afford to pay my sales tax. Y'all, simplest thing to do. At the end of every week, you look at your report on your software and say, how much was sales tax? Pull that out. It was never your money. Your customers paid it. You didn't pay it on the front end to your supplier. Your customers have to pay it. So put it in an envelope and then have a place in your savings account that is for that. So every time it comes to pay that, you've already saved it, because it never was money that you have to spend. It's not part of your profit margin at all. Customers pay it, you give it right back to the state. Easiest way to try to do that. Back bar supplies again, retail supplies, 50%, back bar supplies, 8 to 10. Gift certificates, credit card processing. Credit card processing is an interesting thing. It used to be under 1% when I first started being a coach. Now it's running people between 1.75 to about 2. What that means is there's checks that come in, there's cash that come in, and there's credit cards. And credit cards have become like really one of the only ways that we really get paid. So one of the things is making sure that you're not paying over 2.25. 2.3 is really high. And what I mean by that, and all of these things, if we can go back and kind of classify them, is cents on the dollar. So retail, your budget, 50 cents on the dollar. Your credit card processing, if you're paying 0.2 or 2 points, you're paying 2 cents for every dollar that runs through your business for credit card processing. Not necessarily to the credit card processing company, but overall what it adds up to is every dime that comes in, it runs through, and it's about 2 cents on the dollar. So it may not sound like a lot, but when you're running a lot of credit card processing, it can be painful. So pay attention to that, because you can get better credit card processing fees. And then, tracking tips. I think I'll leave that for another conversation, because it's a big conversation. It's a testy conversation. So today we're going to do how to separate. So we separate in 3 ways. We separate income, and only income goes in income. If it's a money maker, you put that in. And then there is direct expenses, which are directly correlated to the income that you did, right? And then there is indirect expenses. So those are the 3 ways that we're tracking. And then today we're talking just about your direct sales. Begin to track that differently. You can go on my website. I've got that income versus expense tracking form. I think I don't know if it's like $120 or something like that. But it's a way for you to put it in, so that you can start seeing what is your budget, what are you spending, and then, because if you see that you're overspending, it gives you the ability to get it in line. Because this isn't, as far as ownership goes, there's not a huge profit at the bottom for us. So you have to manage and know what you can and cannot spend. So know your budget, start tracking it, and then if you want more help, give me a call. I'm more than willing to talk to you without charging you, so don't ever feel like you can't call me and have a conversation, because I'm really open to helping you get started, helping you understand it. I really believe that all of us can be profitable, and when we're profitable, we can have a happier staff, because the staff isn't getting you trying to pay bills, right? And that's in a leadership conversation, but you got to understand the numbers part. And I know that for most of us, that's not our strong suit, but we learn owner skills because we chose to open a business. We have to learn the owner skills. So thank you for being here today. Again, if you want to have a conversation, please reach out to me, 760-536-9012. You can go on here and get my email address. Kind of hard to write it, so I will just let you go look at it. And I wish you the best of luck. Please let me know how I can help. Bye.